Hi guys, welcome to Dubs Only Sports. Today we've got a few things for you. But before we get anything started, make sure you follow us on our social medias. We got Instagram, we got TikTok, we got Twitter, all at the Dubs Only Sports handle. And then if you're watching this on the podcast, or you're listening to this on the podcast, I should say, go ahead, go to our YouTube channel. It's the exact same format. You can just see us. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's going to be at Dubs Only Sports. If you're watching us and you think that we're ugly and you don't want to see us, you just want to listen to our voices, then go to our podcast and you can find us at Dubs Only Sports there. So we make compromises for you guys. You don't need to look at us all the time. We know that, we're not the greatest looking dudes in the world, but we try our best sometimes. Yeah, let's just jump straight into it. MLB free agency. We had a video, our first video was on the MLB free agency. And it was we kind of just talked about some of the trades, some of the how we felt about some of them. Since then, surprisingly, there have been a lot of other trades that have come about that I didn't think would happen this soon, and they have. But yeah, the team that we really focused, or the teams that we really focused on in that video, were the Padres and the Phillies, because we were talking about how like the dynamic would work with the Padres, because we've got Xander Bogaerts and Fernando Tatis Jr., now two shortstops there. And then for the Phillies, they made the World Series last year, and now they've added on to their lineup by having Trey Turner, and Trey Turner is now reunited with his old teammate in Bryce Harper. So we talked about that. If you haven't already, go watch that video. It's our first ever episode that we ever did. And we also have clips on it on our social media, so make sure to go check that out. But other than that, yeah, now we've seen the Carlos Correa trade. We've seen a bunch of other like minor trades here and there. We've got, like Kenley Jansen. We've got Lugo. We've got
Dansby.
Dansby Swanson. Yeah, we got Dansby Swanson, Michael Conforto. We have a bunch of, like these pretty like mediocre players. Like the trades are like important, but the players aren't, like that kind of thing. So, yeah, but I mean, I feel like we start off with this Carlos Correa trade. I mean, he was a Giant for like 6 days, and then out of nowhere, I remember waking up one morning and seeing that Carlos Correa was apparently a Met, and I'm like, hang on, did I read it wrong 6 days ago? Like, I thought he was supposed to be a Giant, and I thought the whole thing was that he was just gonna start trolling the Dodgers so hard, because that would have been the funniest move. And I feel part of me feels like the only reason why Carlos Correa signed with the Giants for those 6 days was just to screw with Dodger fans and the Dodger franchise, because that would have been the funniest thing. Imagine a Joe Kelly matchup and a Carlos Correa matchup like every month. Could you imagine? Oh my God. I was
I don't
picturing it in
have
my
Joe
head. It was
Kelly
gonna be
anymore,
so
bro.
funny.
I think Joe Kelly. Wait, pause. I think Joe Kelly might be on the Mets right now.
Really?
I think he might. I think he might.
You got rid
He's
of you
not.
got rid
He's
of
not on the Dodgers. No, he's on the White Sox now. Okay, he's on the White Sox.
Oh, he's on the White
He's
Sox. That's
on
right.
the White Sox. He's not on the Mets. But that, dude, that was crazy. I mean, Carlos Correa. That whole saga was insane, bro. Like he signs with the Giants, 13 years, 350 million, and it's like, dude, this is the biggest troll job ever. Like the Astro guy goes to the Giants,
Yeah,
wants to haunt the
exactly.
Dodgers, get back at us, and then I don't know what was going on, but someone just texted me like he's on the Mets now, and I'm like, wait, pause,
Yeah.
pause. He just signed with the Giants, and then
Exactly.
the whole story comes out where like the Giants wanted to introduce him, or no, he was gonna have his introduction with the Giants, but then the Giants saw something on the physical from 2014. This is 2022 right now. They saw
Yeah.
something, an injury from 2014, a leg injury from 2014, and that's the reason they're not going to sign him. And then before they even announced anything, he already signed with the Mets because Scott Boras got pissed off, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, what is going on?"
Yeah.
But yeah,
How is this possible? I literally didn't think like stuff like this was like possible.
I
I
didn't even
thought
know it
that
was like.
once you were like, oh, I'm going to sign with the Giants, it's like,
I was like,
okay. But no, he just switched instantly.
yeah, no, I'm good, bro. I'm
And
gonna
I
go to the Mets.
and I don't know, like, I don't know if this was just like a rumor or just like something that I saw, but there was like something about like him and like a tapeworm that he had.
No, 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 no.
Like
I think that was BS. I think that was BS.
that's
But
that's
dude,
what I thought.
Yeah, no, I think that, but like, dude, that's crazy, dude. Carlos Gray. I mean, Carlos Gray has been injury prone his whole career, so I'm not gonna lie. Like, he's had a lot of injuries. He's missed like 30% of his games start his career. But like,
Mhm.
dude, for him to like literally sign with the Giants,
I
for
mean,
them to
that's why.
guarantee him, and then the Giants are like, actually, no, your physical is not good enough. And then before they even announced that the signing was done, like that they were not gonna sign him anymore, he already signed with the Mets, and I was like, they didn't
Yeah,
even talk this through. It just kind of like happened out of nowhere, and everyone was like, someone sent me like he's a Met, and I'm like, he just signed with the Giants. Like I don't know how that
exactly.
works, but I mean, yeah, that was hilarious, dude. It's
I
just
mean,
crazy how like the Mets signed absolutely everyone. They just literally throw money at anyone. Brandon Nimmo, 160 million.
dude, their
Carlos Correa,
payroll is ridiculously
crazy,
high. You've got
crazy. Like
Verlander, Scherzer, not alone to think about
Lindor,
Carlos Correa now. Yeah, Lindor. I was wondering where the hell are they going to put Lindor? Where is Carlos Correa and
he's gonna play
Lindor going to
third.
play?
Carlos Correa is gonna play third. Lindor is gonna play short. But it's just like, dude, like Uncle Steve, bro, is going off right now. He wants to be the Dodgers so bad. The best part about this is that he's gonna spend $500 million for his payroll just to
Jesus
lose in the NLDS.
Christ.
Just to lose in the NLDS, bro. It's
Yeah,
crazy, bro. Like
exactly. And he'll
it's
lose in the NLDS to like the Phillies too, like an in division
yeah,
team.
yeah. Yeah, he's gonna lose to something like no, he's gonna lose to the Braves, bro. Watch the Braves are gonna get revenge, bro. They're gonna like come back.
Oh
No
my
Dansby
God.
Swanson, no Freddie Freeman. Dude, they didn't get Jacob DeGrom, but they're still gonna beat them, bro. And then
All
the
they need is
Padres, bro.
Acuna. All they need is Acuna and Albies, bro.
Yeah,
Dude, and Acuna in the in like the like I think it's like the Venezuelan league that he's playing in right now, or the Dominican Republic league.
yeah.
Dude, they go insane. Like some of these commentators, bro, like literally, it'll be an absolute moonshot, and these dudes will just stand in the box forever, and no one says a word. Like, could you imagine that happening in the MLB, bro? You get fined.
No, you get fined, and then someone the next pitcher would come and hit you, and they start whining about like, oh,
Yeah,
you were party. Like, remember the whole like
exactly.
the Royals White Sox thing when like Tim Anderson like
Oh my
did the bad
God.
flip,
Dude, yeah,
and
Tony La Russa would trip on the stairs on the way out, fall over, break his knee, and then complain about the unwritten rules were the reason why he broke his knee that day.
and then he died of a heart attack, and then he just beat. Yeah, it's just, oh my god, dude, it's crazy. Like MLB free agency this year has been bonkers, bro. Usually it takes forever to free agents to sign. It's only December, and like all the big free agents have already signed. Unless
Mhm.
I'm forgetting, I think all of them have basically signed, but it's been crazy. I mean, you got the Padres and the Mets thinking that they're the Dodgers and Yankees, just throwing money at every single player that's on the market. I mean,
Exactly.
they've signed everyone. Okay, so the Mets have signed. They signed Correa, Verlander. They re-signed Nimmo. They re-signed Diaz. They gave money to the pitcher Senga, and then I think they got like a few other free agents. Like they re-signed Ottavino, and I'm like, dude, they
Scherzer.
literally they already had Scherzer, but like, dude, they gave him 43 million last year, and then the Padres, bro, like everyone was saying like, so they got Xander Bogaerts, which already made no sense because they already have a shortstop, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, the Dodgers are trying to get Seth Lugo to like bolster their rotation. Nah, no, he's going to the Padres. I'm like, guys, you already have like everyone. Like, what do you need?
And
I
then
don't
and
know.
then Matt Carpenter as well. The
Oh,
Matt
and
Carpenter
then
thing, I'm just like, dude, talk
he,
about the most average player in the
I
MLB right
know.
now, and you're like, we got to get him. That's a pickup.
We gotta
That's
get
a
him.
pickup.
We gotta
The
get him. We
Giants are
gotta get.
going.
I mean,
The Padres are going
the
crazy.
Padres and Mets have taken this to another level. I mean, you everyone always associates like big money spending with the Dodgers and Yankees, but like no,
Mhm.
dude. It's the
Yeah.
Padres and the Mets. But like who would have thought 2 years ago Padres and Mets are going off like this? But
You
dude,
know,
it's been crazy.
you know those Instagram posts on like those baseball accounts where it's like, oh, build your team with only $15, and you've got the players that cost $10, the players that cost $5, and the players
Like
cost one
screw that.
dollar.
All the
The
$10
Padres,
guys. All
the
the 10.
Padres, the Padres are really like, okay, Xander Bogaerts $10, and then it just went $1 picks for the rest. That's literally what they're doing right now. You got
They just
Matt
don't care.
Carpenter, like, oh my God, bro. Talk about the
They're so
most average baseball
yeah,
players in the league right now.
dude.
They
It's
are them
these
100%.
yeah, dude. I don't get what they're doing. I mean, the thing is though, the best part of this whole situation is that the Padres and the Mets have these crazy payrolls and like these amazing players,
Yeah.
and one of them's not even gonna win the World Series. That's the best part. And like they're such poverty franchises. Like when you look at the history of the Padres, never won a World Series. You look at the
Yeah.
history of the Mets, they've had some good years. They had 86. You know, they've won a World Series, they've won two World Series, I think. But like, dude, those two franchises have been like just so average their whole existence. And now they're
Mhm.
just like, screw it, I'm gonna spend all my money. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you guys are probably not even gonna win the World Series. Like, honestly, if we look at this right now, there's a very good chance that neither one of those teams wins the World Series. And for
Dude,
them to spend all this money for absolutely no reason is the best part, bro. It's hilarious.
I would genuinely be shocked if the Padres or the Mets actually made the World Series. I
Oh
would be
yeah, facts.
shocked.
But watch
I
what's gonna
don't
happen.
even
The
believe in
Dodgers,
that.
the Padres and Mets are both gonna win their division, and the Dodgers are gonna be in the wild card, and the Dodgers are gonna beat both of them. Watch. Well, that's gonna happen, bro. I'm telling
That's
you.
not gonna happen,
Not
bro. The Dodgers,
not
the
a Dodgers
Dodgers are
fan.
not gonna do that, bro. No, they are
The
not.
Dodgers have not signed anyone. They actually signed JD Martinez and they signed Noah Syndergaard. And I'm like, dude, like, I don't even care. Just the way baseball works, the Dodgers, whenever we sign guys, we won the World Series in 2020, but we always win a ton of games in the regular season and then lose in the postseason. Maybe the Dodgers are trying this
Dude,
approach where like we don't sign anyone and then we just freaking destroy the league this
the
year. I like
problem, the problem with the Dodgers is that you guys are literally a first half of the season team. You literally
okay,
look
that's
at your guys'
okay, that's cap.
you
That's cap.
no 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 no
That's
no
like
no no.
cap. No, 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 no.
You guys are a
That's
first
cap.
part of the season team. You look at the
Oh
stats
my
of
God.
Dodgers records before the All-Star break and then after the All-Star break.
We
It's like
literally
going.
ended. No, 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 no. We ended with the best record of the second half for like consecutive years.
Yeah,
We
but
are
the majority of your
it's the
wins came
playoffs.
from the
No, no, no,
first
no, no,
half.
no, 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 no. It's the playoffs. It's not the regular season. The regular season, we're the best team every year. It's the playoffs. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
every year
but
it's the playoffs.
your
No, 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 no,
second
no,
half, no, no, no,
no, no,
your
no,
second
no, no, no,
half
no, no,
of
no,
the
no. You're
season.
wrong. You're wrong, bro. You're wrong. In the
I
second
watch it
half, we're
every
always good.
year. It's the same
No, it's
thing.
dude. We literally were behind the Giants the whole year by 15 games in 2021, right?
Yeah.
They won 107 games. We won 106 because we ended the year with the last 100 games. We had the best record in baseball, tied with the Braves, and the Braves won the MLB World Series.
Yeah, that was 1 year because you were actually behind for a change.
2022, we won 111 games. There's no way we had a bad second half. We won 111 games.
You did have a
100.
bad second half.
No, we didn't. We had a bad 5 games in October against the San Diego Padres, bro. That's what we had a bad. That's what
The
we did.
Madres?
Padres.
What?
Yes.
The
Yes.
Fraudrays?
The Padres. I tell you,
The
the
Los Angeles
Padres,
Fraudrays?
the Met, the Padres and the Mets
The,
have
the
been just
San Francisco
top of.
Bryans?
Okay, let's get okay. Actually, pause before we get in. We have to get into not the San Diego Padres. We have to get into the San Francisco Giants.
Dude,
What a
poverty.
poverty franchise!
Poverty.
Poverty franchise. Okay, so let's roll this back 2 weeks. They thought John Heyman post. They signed Arson Judge,
Arson
best
Judge, the
player in the league.
best right fielder in the MLB, Arson Judge.
Not Aaron Judge. They signed Arson Judge.
Arson Judge.
He just hit 62 home runs with the Yankees. Okay, they were on their way to having the best power hitting outfielder in baseball. And then 20 minutes later, it comes out that it was a fake report from John Heyman, who is one of the most trusted MLB free agency reporters of all time, right? It comes out from him that's fake. They don't sign him. We get Carlos Correa signs with the Giants for 13 years, $350 million. Going to be the biggest Dodger troll in history after coming from the Astros. Guess what happens? The Giants don't like the physical from a knee injury in 2014, and they're like, no, we're not signing him. And then before the press conference, before anything, the Giants lose out on him, and he goes to the Mets. The Giants have sold this offseason. They have sold this offseason.
The funniest part is that they have a problem with Correa's knee injury from like 2014, but they're literally holding on to Brandon Crawford for like dear life. And the dude
and
is like
Evan Longoria, and they had Bumgarner for a while, and they had Posey, who was injury prone.
Hunter Pence, bro. Remember when Hunter Pence was like injured every year? Oh my God.
The glory days of 2010, 2012, and 2014. They're trying to relive those days. Those days are long gone. Those days are long gone. They had the best record in baseball 2 years ago, and the Dodgers beat them in the postseason. Like, dude, it's over for the Giants. The Giants need to start back. They need to develop some good players from their own system. They need to develop some guys rather than just trying to sign big free agents. And even with that, they didn't even sign the free agents that they were trying to get. They didn't even sign them. They failed. They missed on both of them. And they have plenty of money. They have tons of cap space, and they didn't get either one. They're turning into the New York Knicks. They look like the New York Knicks right now. Stephen A would be proud.
Bro, they got Mitch Haniger, though. Mitch Haniger praise.
They got Mitch Haniger and Michael Conforto. So, dude, they're going to be a solid team. They're going to be an 85-win team, guys. Good job. Good job.
No. 150 wins, bro. They're only going to lose 10 games this season. Only 10 games this season they're going to lose. And it's going to be the 10 games they play against the Dodgers, swear. Bro.
Oh, dude. Oh, my God. Them and the Padres are going to be competing for the biggest chokers in MLB, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah, yeah, but the Giants and the Padres are going to be competing for like the worst wild card spot in history. Because the NL, I don't think a lot of people realize, but the NL is going to be so horrible next year. But
Well, what are
literally,
you talking about? NL's gonna be the best league in baseball by far.
how
By
with what
far.
teams?
Okay,
With
okay.
what teams in what
Let's go through.
division?
Let's go through this. Let's go through this. So we have, first of all, let's start in the NL East. We have the Mets, who just spent their payroll is 500 million. They're spending half a bill with Uncle Steve. They're going to be one of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah,
Number two,
Mets, Phillies.
The Atlanta Braves have like 10 guys locked up on $80
Oh
million
my
contracts.
God,
They're
the Braves
amazing.
are
No,
garbage.
no, they're gonna make the play. They're guaranteed to lock for the playoffs. The Phillies just signed Trey Turner, and Bryce Harper's gonna come back in the second half. They're gonna be good. Then let's
There
look
are
at the
three teams.
Central.
You just
No, no,
named three teams in a division. Who's making the wild card?
all of them are gonna make the playoffs. Watch. Then the Central is terrible. The Central is terrible. So the Central we can just ignore. Screw the Cardinals, the Brewers. Those teams are all irrelevant. They don't
Uh
exist.
huh.
Fine. The NL West, we got the San Diego Padres. They're gonna be amazing this year, but like it's fine. Respect. Then we got the Dodgers, who like haven't signed anyone, but we signed JD Martinez and Noah Syndergaard, low key under the radar signings. But we're
Dude,
gonna
and
be good
Trevor
this year.
Bauer. We need to talk about Trevor
No,
Bauer.
no, no.
Yes, you were gonna get canceled. Let's go.
And then, and then we have the San Francisco Giants are not gonna make the playoffs because they're a poverty franchise. Then who else is the NL? Oh, the Rockies totally irrelevant. They signed Chris Bryant, still irrelevant. And then the Diamondbacks. I forgot. They just traded
Come
Dalton
on.
Varsho to
They
the
don't
Blue
even
Jays, bro.
exist.
They don't even exist. And breaking news that the Phillies have just signed Craig Kimbrell.
You're joking.
No, they signed him to a 1 year, $10 million deal.
Dude, the Dodgers got rid of Craig Kimbrell. Let's go. Dude, that's the
Yes.
first done.
We're going to the World Series. The Dodgers are going to the World Series because we got rid of Craig Kimbrell, bro. Even though he wasn't even on the playoff roster.
The best free agency decision for the Dodgers is actually getting rid of somebody, not actually taking anybody in.
Exactly, bro. Dude, this offseason has been great. The Dodgers they've not messed it up. Instead of messing up, they just let all their bad players just leave the team, bro.
Genius.
Oh, Andrew Friedman has figured it out, bro.
Finally.
Oh,
After
dude.
all these years of not winning a World Series that
Yeah.
are 160 games long, he's finally figured it out.
Oh, we figured it out, bro. We have Noah Syndergaard, bro.
Yeah, that the starting rotation is what you need to work on. No, because Julio Urias and Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin and Clayton Kershaw weren't enough for you. No. We needed to add another pitcher into the rotation, even though
And then next year we get Walker Buehler back, dude. We're gonna be lethal. Next year's rotation, Dodgers rotation, is gonna we'll have like 4 Cy Young candidates, bro. It's crazy here. It's crazy.
That's not what you need to work on, dude. You guys signed Craig Kimbrell last year for a reason. It's because your bullpen is atrocious.
Dude, our bullpen was so good last year, and then against the Padres, sold, bro. Sold. But it's okay. It's okay. The Padres beat us in a 5-game series after we dominated them in the regular season. I genuinely hope that the Padres dominate us in the regular season and we beat them as the wild card team in the playoffs. Nothing would make me feel better than having the Padres win the division and we beat them in the wild card round and then go on to win the World Series, because that's what we're gonna do. That is what we're gonna do.
Oh, yeah.
No bias here at all.
No, not at all. As he wears blue and sits in a blue chair and lives in LA.
This is UCLA.
UCLA. As I'm wearing a Jackie Robinson jersey.
Dante Moore, baby. Dante Moore. So yeah,
bro, don't. Okay, bro. That's for another day, bro. Dante Moore.
Yeah.
Dante Moore, if you're watching this, what the hell, man? What the hell? 1 year. 1 year. You would have sat out 1 year. That's it. 1 year.
So let's get back to the MLB free agency. I just think, who do you think is the biggest winner of free agency this offseason?
I mean,
don't say the Mariners.
I feel like, to be honest, I feel like the team that like a lot of people, I'm not saying that they're like number one in free agency, but I feel like they're up there, and I feel like we haven't talked about them enough. But I feel like the Texas Rangers are really making a name for themselves. Like, to be fair, I feel like the Texas Rangers in the coming years, all right, especially with the slow downfall of the Astros and the Mariners really being the only
won the World Series.
I understand.
Slow downfall. They're slowing down to a World Series. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm
No, I'm
sorry, they're
saying yes,
slowing
I
down.
understand they won, but like like the World Series was like the climax of like the Astros era because they needed to prove that they didn't need to
Okay,
cheat
that's
in
fair.
order to win a
Yeah,
World Series. So they've
yeah.
done that. They won't touch a World Series for at least a decade. And that will allow the teams like the Mariners and like the Rangers to catch up and then go ahead of them. And I just
I
feel
have a
like,
question.
yeah,
Okay, so the Mariners, or not the Mariners, the Rangers have signed last offseason. They signed Simeon and Corey Seager for $500 million combined. Two
yeah,
very good middle infielders, right?
yeah,
Then this offseason they signed Jacob DeGrom, right?
yeah.
Who's their number two starter?
Well, they don't need one. They have Jacob DeGrom. He's just going to pitch
Who's their
every
number
day.
three start? Who's their number three starter?
Jacob
Who's
DeGrom.
their number four starter?
Jacob
Who's their number
DeGrom.
five starter?
Jacob
They're
DeGrom.
trash. The Texas Rangers are like the Los Angeles Angels. That division is full of two teams that spend hell of money and win zero games. The AL West is going to be the Astros and the Mariners.
Yes, I
Team
agree
in
with
that
that.
division?
But
Who's the other team in that division? I'm forgetting. The A's. Oh, the A's are just
the A's are a
the,
joke, bro.
the A's are a joke.
Dude,
The
they gotta
Moneyball
move.
A's are
They
gone,
gotta
bro.
move, man.
They
They
got to
gotta
move to
move.
Vegas, bro. They got to move to Vegas. Yeah, they need to get
But
some
I
revenue, but
mean,
it's okay.
the number one team, um, the number one team in free agency for me. I mean, honestly, just looking at like what they were last year and what they needed to do this year in order to like finally get back to like being a good team, I feel like I might like, and it's very close because I look at teams like the Mets, I look at teams like the Phillies, and yes, they had very good signings, especially the Mets with all their signings. They had a very good signing. But I feel like that was a given because the Mets were a good team to start off with. So they're just adding on to that. But I feel like, the team that went from like a bad team last year to they could be a pretty decent team this year and give a lot of teams more of a run for their money than last year. I feel like the Chicago Cubs are like one of those teams. To be fair, they've signed a lot of like international players in recent years. And I feel like that was really the only way that the Cubs could actually like compete with anyone. Because you look at all the professional players, nobody wants to go to the Cubs right now. Like Rizzo left, Baez left, Contreras, like, and those were the teams that made the Cubs, especially in that 2016 World Series, right? So I just feel like after they all left and after that whole dynasty was over, it was like nobody wanted to be like with the Cubs. And the same thing goes for like a lot of teams out there, like the Royals and like the Twins. Like they're kind of like in between teams where like you go there just so that you can get paid for a season, but you're going other places. But I
No,
just
I
feel
kind
like
of
the Dansby Swanson trade and like again like the international players trade. I feel like I'm not saying that the Chicago Cubs are going to be the best team in the MLB because obviously they're not, but it's just like to look at like the team they were last year and to
like
compare
their
them to the
moves. You
team
like their
that they
moves.
could be this year. Yeah, I like the moves that they made. I like the
Yeah.
mindset that they had going into the free agency. They weren't going for these big players, these big names, because they knew they couldn't get them in the first place. They were going
Oh,
after the Dansby Swansons, the international big names, because they know that they can sign them like more easy than the big name, like the big name players, like the Verlanders, like the DeGroms, like the Syndergaards, like all these, even the Carlos Correas, the Trey Turners. They know that they can't sign those players anymore because they have dynasties and those players won't make the dynasty. Someone like Dansby Swanson and the history that he has with Chicago is like
but they need to
perfect for the
build
Cubs,
they
and he
need to
could be the
build
start to
something.
all of that. Yeah,
Yeah, like
but
yeah. I know I like their moves too.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah. No, I like their moves because I mean they signed Bellinger and Bellinger has had a terrible last few years, but he has potential. So like
Yeah, exactly. Like we've
it,
seen
it,
how good he could
yeah,
be. And
exactly.
if he gets back at it in Chicago, then like that's
Yeah,
we could see an above 300 batting average. We could see a
yeah.
good WAR, a good OBS, that kind of stuff.
It's kind of like a low risk, high reward in the sense that like the Cubs have nothing, they have no expectation. So like even
Yeah.
if Bellinger's trash, then that's kind of what it's expected. But then if
Mhm.
he has like a high potential because like he has like a very high ceiling. And say
Yeah.
like Dansby Swanson is almost the opposite. Dansby Swanson has had some downs in his career, but like he's a pretty like solid player,
Yes,
like
it's like
relatively
it's pretty consistent for Dansby
yeah,
Swanson.
relatively solid. He's been a consistent player. He's a good leader. I think that's gonna be a good signing for them. I know they spent like 177 million for him, and they don't really have a full team around him yet. But I kind of like him as like one of the cornerstones that they could build their franchise around. They kind of have the same approach right now. as the Texas Rangers, like getting these cornerstone guys.
Yeah.
The problem with the Rangers is that they're dishing out so much money to these big cornerstone guys like DeGrom, Simeon, and Seager that they're not gonna have enough money to fill up the rest of the roster, and they have a ton of holes in the roster. The Cubs, on the other hand, are trying to bring up their young guys. They're trying to sign a few of these big name guys, but like not too many, so they still have a lot of space in free agency and in trades to get other guys to fill in the roster. But the Cubs and Rangers, I feel like, have more potential like 3 years from now than they do this year. Like this year, they might be around like win 40% to 50% of their games.
Yeah.
But I feel like in 2 or 3 years, they could be
Mhm.
contenders to win their division, especially in the NL Central. That's a very weak division. The
Yeah.
Brewers are kind of on a slow decline, losing some
Yeah.
of their players. They might trade Corbin Burns, so they're kind of on a decline.
Mhm.
The Cardinals just signed Wilson Contreras, so like they're a solid team. They're always like playoff good, but they're never like 100 win good. They're like 90 win good. So like
Yeah,
it's
that's
not like
why
as
like
strong as yeah,
the Cardinals, I feel like the Cardinals are kind of they're going to be the only team that make it to the
yeah,
playoffs in the NL Central. I just feel like there are
yeah.
too many other like there are just too many better teams than teams like the Brewers and the Cubs. And you even look, you look at like the Reds and the Pirates. Those are just like joke franchises at this
Yeah, like they're
point.
never gonna win. Like especially the Pirates. I mean, I saw something that they made a hype video about Vince Velasquez, and I'm like, guys, like, come on, man. Like, the Pirates have spent less money in the last 10 years than the Mets have like this offseason. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like the amount of money that they need a new owner. They need to
Mhm.
get some ownership that's gonna spend some money. And I feel like that's also a bigger issue we could talk about in baseball, where like we need owners in the MLB with more money, like Steve Cohen, because it's not fair to these small market teams to have these owners that are not willing to spend money and not willing to put out a good enough product on the field. The only team that has consistently been good with a very low payroll is the Tampa Bay Rays, and that's because they
Mhm.
have arguably the best organization in baseball, along with the Dodgers and the Astros. So
Mhm.
that's an anomaly. That's not like what the norm is. But a lot of these small market teams, like the Orioles, have been bad recently. The Pirates
Mhm.
have been terrible for a long time. I mean, some of these teams like the AL Central has been a joke forever. I mean,
Yeah.
that division, no one's ever going to win from that division. We just need owners that are willing to spend the money. I mean, I saw something that like the Chicago White Sox just signed Andrew Benintendi, who's a good player. They signed him for $75 million. That was the biggest free agent contract that they gave to a position player of all time. Like that's crazy. They gave up a
Yeah.
$75 million contract. The Dodgers fans are mad when the Dodgers signed AJ Pollock like 3 years ago, and they gave him $65 million, and that was like considered a very small free agent signing. And
Mhm.
that's like the biggest signing that the White Sox could ever imagine. It just we need more. We need the owners to have a similar amount of money. We can't have Steve Cohen having $15 billion and spending $500 million a year on his team, and then having the Pirates spending $500 million in the last 20 years. Like it just
Mhm.
we need it. I think that's a big issue in baseball right now.
Yeah, I just, like obviously like money's always going to be a problem for like every
Yeah,
team. Like at some
yeah,
point you're going to deal with it. Like whether you like it or not, it's going to come about because either you're paying too many players too much money or you don't have the players to actually get like to win you the money in the first place because one of the riches of winning the World Series is that you literally get paid to win the World Series.
you get
So
some money. It's not like a big
it's
amount, but the
just
problem is like they're in this cycle that they never win, so they never have fans come out to the stadium, and then they can't make any money. Like the Pirates, the attendance of Dodger games is not high in relative to like soccer games, but like Dodgers fans, for
yeah.
them to turn out 50,000 people, 45 to 50,000 people every single game for 80 games a year, that's like millions and millions of
Yeah.
dollars churning out. And like to have the
Yeah.
Pirates churning out like 3,000 fans a game, you're not going to
Yeah.
get enough revenue to make up for all the money that you spend on the players. That's why these teams like the A's, the Pirates, they have such a
Yeah, that's
low.
why like the most
Yeah,
the most obvious example is the Athletics. You look at like any athletics game, there's like nobody in the stand. You could literally
nobody's there.
get like
Yeah,
it's dirt cheap for tickets there.
yeah,
Like I could reach
yeah.
into my pocket and pull out nickels and I'd be able to pay for an A's ticket. Like
And they've
loose
actually been
change
good.
in my
They've actually
pocket,
been good. That's the thing. That
right? I mean, you
their
look at the team
organization.
that they had a
Yeah,
few years ago. You look at
they
guys
won
like
like
Matt
98 games.
Olson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt Chapman, and that's the thing. We need those kind of teams to get enough money so that they have those good players and those good organizations, and they get actually rewarded from that, and they don't just
Mm,
make the playoffs and lose in the wild card.
yeah.
Those kind of teams need to be able to win the World Series because if they win the World Series, it shows that all teams can actually win and not just the few teams. I mean, baseball's already has a lot of teams win, and there's a lot of like just changes in the teams that win because it's baseball. There's a lot of luck involved. It's a lot
Yeah.
of chance. It's not a very like it's not like basketball where like the best team always wins. It's like
Yeah.
a lot of randomness. Like the Padres beat the Dodgers last year. The Phillies made it to the World Series, totally random. But it's
Hmm.
like we need those teams that like very small teams feel rewarded when they actually have a very good foundation. Like the A's and the Rays have had a very good foundation. They haven't won a World Series. The Rays got close and they almost beat the Dodgers in 2020. But yeah, I feel like they just need to have we need to have like a minimum for the amount of money that an owner need like has. Like instead of
Yeah.
like or you need to impose a strict payroll thing. This is coming from a Dodgers fan, so I know everyone's be like, "Oh, you can't be talking." But this is coming from. I think there either needs to be a minimum for the amount of money that MLB owners have, and it's enough to spend like $200 million on a payroll. Because $200
Hmm.
million on a payroll should not be seen as like very like a lot, considering the Mets are spending $500 million this year,
Yeah,
including
exactly.
taxes, of course. But $500 million. But I feel like there either needs to be a minimum for the amount that the owner has, or a salary cap, like a hard cap, not
Yeah.
like the because the MLB there's not a hard cap. The MLB there's a cap and then you can go over it, but you just pay exponentially more in taxes. So like the Mets right now are paying $350 million for their payroll and then 150 million in taxes because they're so much above the salary cap. But like in the NBA, you have like a hard cap. Like you can't sign anyone else. So we need to have like either a hard cap or have a minimum for the amount that the owners can have to be an owner.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, like if there's a maximum, then there must be a minimum because clearly the maximum, like they have the maximum there because they know it would be a problem if you could just spend all your money on like all the best players. So it
Yeah.
like, at that point, like if there's a maximum, then there should be a minimum because then that allows everyone a fair chance into actually catching up with the teams that are hitting the maximum.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with your point that is definitely one of the bigger problems with the MLB that a lot of people like fail to realize because people just see like MLB as like a game that a lot of guys play. At the end of the day, it's a business. All of these sports leagues, all of these, everywhere you look, they're all businesses. And at the end of the day, those businesses are run by capitalism and by economic gain and growth. So yeah. But I mean, other than that, is there anything you want to add on about the free agencies?
I think that's basically it. I mean, like just to review a little bit, we got the Mets signing everyone. They've signed like 6 or 7 guys. They spent like
Yeah.
over hundreds of millions of dollars on players. Then we got the Padres, same kind of thing, signing
Mm-hmm.
everyone on the market. So those have
Mm-hmm.
been the two main teams that have spent a lot of money. Of course, then we got the Rangers and Cubs with the kind of like their under the radar moves, signing Dansby Swanson for the Cubs and then Jacob DeGrom for the Rangers. So those teams are
Yeah.
kind of lurking and could be in contention in a few years. And then we got some of the bigger teams. I know the Yankees got Rodon, but we got some of the bigger teams like the Astros, Dodgers, and we could consider the Yankees, but not signing as big name free agents, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of just being there, being
Just kind of
kind of
keeping
smart.
quiet.
Yeah, keeping quiet, but still, next year they're going to be all really good teams. So it's
Yeah.
been an interesting offseason. It's been very quick. A lot of signings before the end of the year, which is not
Mm-hmm.
normal. I mean, I remember Bryce Harper, Manny Machado signed in like February or March, so
Yeah,
very close to
exactly.
spring training. But it's been a very eventful offseason, very good offseason for baseball, I think, because there's been a lot of action early on. And I think that's better for baseball than having to wait and like ponder for like a long time. I feel like it's good to get it all out of the way. And yeah, I think baseball starts in like 100 days. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be good to be back. We'll definitely be doing that as the season progresses. But yeah, this is gonna do it for episode 7. Again, just to reiterate our social medias at Dubs Only Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure to go check us out on YouTube. And then if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to go check us out on the podcast. It's really the same thing, but just the attention really means a lot. You don't even have to watch the whole thing. You just need to, kind of check it out, subscribe. Maybe you'll get the notification faster for the other one. YouTube algorithms and the YouTube notifications can be a little bit janky, so maybe just do both just in case. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. And yeah, just make sure to follow all the social media, subscribe so that you can get the notification when we are back here in episode 8. Yeah, I will see you then.